Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the live stream. My name's Matt Bailey. I am the National Ambassador for the Scotch Malt Whisky Society here in Australia, and it's been a while since between live streams because I've been running around the country again doing real events and working on some very special projects, some very special activations, some exciting events coming up in the next few weeks, few months, even the rest of the year. So we've got things coming up now at the Society, ranging from tomorrow with Outturn all the way up to, well, we've got some special stuff planned all the way looking at sort of all the way up to December, really, realistically. And we've even got things, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to give you a sneak peek of something just now. By the way, Jay Herds, I do love your do-doing, but I'm going to show you right now, actually, speaking of sneak peeks, Rye Me Matt. Yes, the rye is tomorrow, and it's going to be in hot demand. I promise you that. It's also a very good rye. I'm going to show you something. Here you go. And this is the first sneak peek. If you look over my right shoulder, here we go. I'm just going to lean out of the way for a second here. See those glass bottles of spirit? Some little project work going on there as well, which I can't talk about right now. But it's exciting that there's things coming down the pipeline, of course. We're working on a few things with different people, different collaborators, and, of course, always in the efforts of doing special things for our members. What tonight is all about is about tomorrow's Outturn. This is the night before Outturn. This is the discussion before Outturn about some of the whiskies that you might be looking out for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Good Friday. Yes, there is an Outturn. We've had a few people ask, because it's a Good Friday, it's a public holiday, is Outturn going ahead as normal? Yes, Outturn is going ahead as normal. It's always on the first Friday of every month, except our Christmas edition, our festive edition, which is mid-November. And then there's a bit of a top-up in December as well, with some new things going on. A few quick announcements before I get started, before I really tuck into actually tasting some of these whiskeys from Outturn. This Outturn is about Malt and Magic. It's about those epiphanies, those flavors, those malt and magic moments that you have with whiskey. And I think they're really exciting. They're really beautiful moments. And I think these whiskeys we've picked out for this April Outturn really sort of show that. Question here from Jay Herds, who says, how do members get some of the stuff in those bottles? Jay Herds, ask nicely and I'll send you some. Honestly, I'm that kind of person. Look, I'll try and get out of the way. There they are again. My right, no, that's my left shoulder. I'm looking at the camera trying to work out where they are. There they are. There's those bottles just there if you can zoom in on those. No, so I've got some special samples which I need to send out to some members. If you want to get a bottle of this, if you want to get a sample of that stuff going on the shelf there, I'll send you some. Ed N says, finally, I don't have to stop work for Outturn. You know what? That's a really good point. And we actually had some members say, I can't get to this Outturn because I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be traveling. I'm going on holiday or whatever. I'm like, yeah, you pull over. You get your phone out. You get ready for Outturn. That's how it works. It's true, though. Okay. So Malt and Magic is the theme. And a few quick announcements. As I said, the champs are back. They'll be better than ever. This is the biggest whiskey tasting in Australia. Just put that into perspective for a second. This is the biggest whiskey tasting in Australia, and it's hosted by the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. We host the biggest whiskey tasting in Australia every 2 years. It was supposed to be last year, but I'm sure you understand why we had to postpone it. We're really excited to bring the champs back. We're really excited to be drinking with you again at the champs in Sydney on the 24th of July 2021. Save the date. I don't have the date for when the tickets are going on sale yet. I don't have any other detail for you just yet. Prizes, trophies, everything like that are going to be announced soon, even if you don't win anything. It's an exciting evening of drinking whiskey, getting together with friends, and having a great night of the Whiskey Championships. I know of at least 10, maybe even 20 members in Victoria who are flying up for this one. Just poured some B3.6 in prep for 2.1. You know what? In context, no one else would make sense of that, but I know exactly what you mean. RW 2.1 is going to be quick tomorrow, and 3.6 was lovely. I haven't got actually that one with me right now. The rye I don't have with me because I've saved as much of it we can for the site. And Irene says, oh, I just logged in. I heard special samples. Irene, you did hear special samples. I'm going to try this again. Just behind me on that shelf in my office here are some very special samples of a very exciting little project bottling that we're working on at the moment, among other things. So stay tuned. More will be announced on that after Easter because they've just landed today. They've literally just arrived in my office today. So I haven't really got all the details for them just yet. I mean, I know what they are. I know what the distillery is. I know the age and all that kind of stuff, but they've just arrived on my desk today. So I've got enough samples. There's about 2 or 3 liters of whiskey there to share around. So I've got enough to share around at some events and some samples. Before I head on, as I said, save the date for Champs. There it is, Saturday, 24th of July. Save the date. The Champs are back. There's a little sort of there's a little bit of quirk at the society is that we're often not very good at announcing or properly talking about some of the better things that we're working on. As you can see here, this is what it looks like. I've put a glass in that photo as well. But as you can see here, this is what it looks like when you open the sample pack. I've expanded it out a bit there. We've moved away from the plastic packaging. We've moved completely to recyclable paper for how to package the bottles up. That may seem like a small thing to you environmentally, and it's a small thing to us, but environmentally, it's an important thing for us to consider as we grow as a society, as we continue doing virtual tastings. Wrapping glass bottles in plastic in bubble wrap is going to be quite wasteful. So we've moved to completely paper wrap. And the last batch that we sent out, there was no breakages, there was no lost parcels. I think we're very happy with it. J Herd says, this is me asking nothing nice there. Very nicely. Can I please try something else? I'll give some good, honest feedback. Maybe biased feedback for a price. That's a joke, by the way. I love that you had to say, yeah, by the way, that's a joke. I know. I know. Look, I'll make sure that you get some. That's fine. Ooh, that's a really good suggestion from Irene. Can you do a stream about training for Champs one night? I'm going to write that down because yes, we'll do actually a week of streams leading about the Champs. We'll do a week of streams in the lead up to the tickets going on sale for Champs about how to train your palate, what to expect. We'll do like one night on each topic. Like it'll be just sort of a 15-minute stream each night. Anyway, speaking of 15-minute stream, I don't want to bang on all night. Let's talk about some of the whiskies in Outturn that I've got on taste to have a discussion with you this evening with. Now, I've talked about Spice Cannon before. However, I've got a tiny bit left in my sample bottle from the Game Changers Virtual that we had in March, March was yesterday, but the Game Changers Virtual, there was a bit left in my sample after that night, which is good because I get to actually revisit it. And it was a 30 mil sample, so I get to have another 15-ish mils. Actually looks a bit more than 15. It's almost like 20 mils in there. Maybe I didn't have much of this sample in the night. But we're going to have just another little taste of Spice Cannon again, just to re-explore this, what it is, and discuss it. In whiskey. Now, before I go on, Nick Husek says, big fan of the new packaging. Glass bottles much better than plastic for giving samples to friends. Yeah, I agree with that, Nick. And we're going to stick with the glass actual minis. They're fully recyclable. The only thing that's not completely recyclable are the caps. Glass caps don't work, obviously. There's nothing else we can really use. But we are trying to make them as environmentally friendly as possible so that when you finish the tasting, pretty much 95% of that pack is completely recyclable. And that's a step forward for us. And I think it's important. I do think it's important. Some people are tuning into the Cape Byron event tonight. Justin Farmer, I bet you're not getting call outs from your whiskey film. You only get that at the SMWS. Look, I appreciate it, Justin. There's some really exciting stuff. I'm just talking about a bit of an Outturn preview tonight. And I've started with Spice Cannon. I had a bit of an early dinner, like an hour ago, 6 o'clock. I know it's early. Anyway, I was hungry. I had a very late breakfast, early dinner, whatever. So the dinner had a bit of spice in it. And so this is almost like bouncing off that for me. It's almost like discovering that spice for me. $50 ABV. Very enjoyable. Lots of warming baked spices. Lots of sherry. I don't have a bottle of this myself. I wish I did, but I'll let you in on a secret. We don't allow ourselves to have anything from Outturn. I'm talking about state managers, myself, Andrew, Susie. we're not allowed to have anything before members get first dibs at it. And I think that's important as well. By the way, we are here for the members. So you guys have first dibs on this. Jay Herds brings up a very valid point here. So I know you're talking about this, but the B3.6 has changed a lot since he opened it. It's got a lot more rich in flavor. That is not surprising. I mean, the flavor of the spirit will change in glass, sealed or unsealed. Very good question from Nick Huzek here. How does Spice Cannon compare to Big Swirl? Big Swirl. Okay, they're very similar. They are very similar in some ways. However, I'm of the firm opinion that the art of blending. Now, in this case, I was just going to go back a second, Nick. I'm going to keep that question up on the screen for you, though. The art of blending, whether it be blended whiskeys, whether it be blended malts, whether it be vatting casks together for a single malt, is not something that is learned overnight. And I think that I am one of those firm believers that I think every release of from the Heresy range, the experimental range from Ewan Campbell's sort of laboratory, is getting more and more harmonious and getting more and more well-structured. Whether they be peated, whether they be cognacs, whether they be whiskey, whether they be blended malts, single malts, whatever. He's getting better at doing it. He's getting better at working out how to harmoniously meld those flavors together in what quantity. Big Swirl was nice. It was a big sort of sherried spice kind of whiskey. I don't think I picked up one of those for myself. This one is also sherried and very like nicely spice driven. But I'd say on this one, there's just the faintest whiff of that sort of fired cannon, like tiny bit of spearmint. But good balance of spice and sherry and very enjoyable. 50% ABV. It's a different whiskey entirely, Nick, but it is, I'd say, harmoniously. I'd say on a harmonious level, it's a better structured whiskey overall. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, Ewan is getting better at these experiments. So if you are looking at that whiskey on tomorrow, Friday at midday, expect, like I say, a very fun, enjoyable, curious kind of whiskey. And yes, I did just nose water, and that's something that I picked up from Andrew. He noses water to reset his nose. I'm using the same glass for each one because we're keeping it casual tonight. More of a milk chocolate cover, orange with roasted hazelnuts. Good tasting note there. Haven't tasted it yet, but very curious, says Bob Wenting. And I have a bottle coming my way. I had to test the new EU shop somehow. You could do a lot worse on testing someone's shop. Big shout out to all of our UK and EU members who have been, I guess, had a bit of a run with all that stuff lately. Good evening, Matty Slunger. I'm happy to see a lot of 66s coming through. They really shine. I've got the 66 on tonight. I'm having a taste of it if I have time. Otherwise, I'll leave that out. It's right at the end. And Joe Heads, for a young cask strength bourbon, this is very rounded and soft for the proof. I thought it might be too hot, but I get nothing like that in this. Yeah, I mean, you got to remember, Joe Heads, they are bottled. Everything we bottled is bottled when it's ready, and that might be younger or older or anywhere in between, but it's bottled when it's ready. And that's exciting that the panel have passed it at that stage. Damien, good to see you, mate. By the way, big shout out to 18th Amendment bar in Geelong. If you've not visited, they are now a society partner bar. The full press release is coming out next week. Really excited to be working with those guys and girls who have an amazing bar there. And you only need to just take even just half an hour gazing at some of the amazing memorabilia and storytelling woven into the walls at that venue. Anyway, it's and the team there are experts. They know their stuff really well, worth dropping in. And Geelong's fantastic. You know what? It's fantastic. Have I tried the 93s? I have. I bought a dram of the 93, the Tour de Force. I bought a dram of that at the Whiskey and Almond about 3 nights back. I don't know what day it is anymore, so I'm just going to say 3 nights ago. I bought a dram of it at the bar. It was really enjoyable, really like in your face. And the best part about it was that the port cask influence was part of the whiskey, not separate to. I know that sounds really funny to say, but 10 years in ex-bourbon, then 2 years in ex-port. So a first fill port hogshead. It has a bit of a ruby color to it. It's a bit darker. It's a bit richer. Port casks can impart a very particular flavor profile to whiskeys, and I think this one did it very, very gracefully. Let's have a look. Where are we up to now? Now let's go on to the next whiskey. I've been filling bottles for our virtual tasting for this month, which is called the Malt Magic, which is on the back page, inside back page of your Outturn. Malt Magic Virtual. In April, we explore the Malt Magic that the Society embodies through a special selection of casks that will surprise, amaze, and challenge your palate in ways that you never thought possible. 5 unique and fascinating Society releases that will take you on a flavorful journey of malt and magic. Saturday, the 24th of April, 7:30 p.m. And this is cask 35.273. A 35-year-old in the... did I say 35-year-old? Code 35. A 24-year-old from a first fill ex-bourbon barrel. 24 years in first fill ex-bourbon. That's an insane amount of time for a first fill barrel to go that kind of distance. And as Mark Garraway, big shout out to Mark Garraway, member in Sydney here, pointed out, it's very much, it's unusual to see that kind of age as he referenced, but also this is of a parcel of casks that we've been seeing 22, 23, and now 24-year-old whiskey through over the last 3 years. Ooh, yeah. Probably the same thing I'm going to say when we taste it for the virtual. Old dried pressed flowers. Strangely bright though as well, which is nice. So very bright and enjoyable there. Fresh wood. Like old cognac and like an old cognac in some ways, like and a humidor, a big old humidor, like a walk-in humidor. It's an old one. Oh. I went with this one second because my palate's still fresh. The spice cannon will be there to sort of start me off. And by the way, I would recommend the spice cannon for very much a sort of sharing with friends kind of whiskey as well. I'd recommend it strongly as a share with friends, share it around. That's that kind of thing. I mean, it's a good question, Irina. I'm kind of like I'm always on the 93s. I'm always a bit like I do enjoy them in full maturation ex-bourbon, generally speaking. However, we have had some sherried ones over the years. We've had some port casks, even a rum cask 93. I remember once, which was something else. Look, they're always going to be interesting. That's the fun thing about 93s. They're probably one of the most versatile spirits in Scotland. And I've said before on these live streams, you'll like this one. You ready? Here it comes again. If you obsess over Distillery 27 from the same region, but you overlook the 93s, you do so at your own peril. You really do so at your own peril. They are unbelievable spirits. Wow. The mouthfeel isn't as thick on that 35 as I was expecting in some ways, but that's not to its detriment, to be honest. It's kind of like, it's got that, like a lot of old whiskeys. I find a lot of older whiskeys, especially like older space ciders, they like when we're reaching 24 years in what would be a fairly inactive first fill cask, let's be honest, otherwise it would have overwhelmed it. Like salted caramel. Maybe even a tiny bit of peanut brittle. Lots of sweets, lots of spun sugar and sweets in there. Now, I mean, with these kind of like whiskeys, with these older whiskeys, where you might lose a bit of like viscosity and that richness of mouthfeel, where you might lose a tiny bit of that, you gain complexity and wood sugars and an ever-changing whiskey. The finish on this is so long. But it's unmistakably 35 as well. Anyway, that's a lovely whiskey. I finished that whole dram. Very nice thing, very nice indeed. For those who are newer to Outturn, let me jump into the next category here. For those of you who are newer to Outturn, there's a great guide on our website under Whiskey Wise, under the blog, where you can read about the top tips on how to score that special bottle you're after on Outturn. I thoroughly recommend it. And if you look at Outturn, there's a great article called Let's Club Together, a little bit about forming your own whiskey club. Good little read there. But then you go past that and you get to Malt of the Month. Each month we have one whiskey that is very much, what's the word for it? Yeah, one whiskey that is a Malt of the Month that Andrew picks out from the cellar that is hugely enjoyable, shareable, and we're able to knock a few dollars off it to make it shareable for everyone and have a bit of fun with it. There it is. There's Malt of the Month. I'm going to pour a bit of that now in my glass. And where are we? There it is. I'll bring this back up. Oh, I've got to go back to my old screen. Here we go. Semifreddo and spaghetti ice cream. So Malt of the Month is deliberately something that is you can share around and have a bit of fun with. And we've got a bit of quantity to go around. So 60 bottles. There isn't actually 60 tomorrow, however. So don't be disillusioned. There will probably be 56, 57, something like that. Because Shirt Bar took one. Now, if you've not been to Shirt Bar in Sydney, drop in. They are getting some cracking whiskies from us at the moment. They picked up this one and Spice Cannon. Whiskey and Almond took one for their full monthly outturn, which, please. Fantastic new partner bar, 18th Amendment Geelong picked one. So there's 3 partner bars between New South Wales and Victoria that have picked it up, and I'm looking forward to working with a few more partner bars coming up. By the way, if you're in WA and you're 3 hours behind this and you're watching this at 4 p.m. or something, drop in and say hello to the guys at Bar Lafayette. They have been ordering regularly from the Society and some of the goodies. Question. By the way, this is meant to be a session to ask questions, not just taste whiskeys, but I will tell you a bit about each one. So, Matt, I'm going to try and get the rye tomorrow, but I want 2 whiskeys. So looking at the outturn for tomorrow, what's your pick for another bottle under 200? Let's have a look. I mean, I know what you're into, Jay Hodes, so I'm going to have a look here for you. Okay, here's one for you. I don't have a bottle of this in the office, but I'm always impressed with them. 112.74, preternatural good striker in the spicy and sweet profile there. If you want to get something that's around a 200, it's only 210. If you want to get something in that sort of bracket, that would be unbelievable to look at. It's a 12-year-old from a first fill. Had 3 years in a first fill Moselle Oak hogshead. Now, I know on good authority that Moselle Oak was directly sourced from that distillery that we had that spirit filled into for 3 years. And Moselle Oak is not something you see very often. I've talked in more depth about the origins of Moselle Oak and things like that before, but it's funky, yeasty spirit in an interesting wine cask. So I would go that one if you want something that's got a bit of kick, a bit like the rye will as well. And the rye, by the way, is very, very like rounded. Some ryes, and I'm going to stress this, some ryes have got that real white peppercorn flavor, or in some American ryes, very much black peppercorn. And in some even Australian ryes, you see like almost like a pink peppercorn, or there's always often like a peppery note to rye. That's a very much a common flavor of that spirit. However, the RW 2.1 is very much like it's almost like a polished ruby of a rye, if that makes sense. It's very rounded and very fresh, very spearminty, but very like praline chocolate notes as well, which is not too dissimilar from the RW 1.1 that we saw years ago, which I am featuring a few ryes and a few bourbons and a few single malts at our American Whiskey Exploration Night in Sydney on the 23rd of April. If you are a Sydney cider, I strongly encourage you to get along. Very limited seats to that one, actually. It's a smaller room. Okay. So malt of the month, semi-freddo and spaghetti ice cream. I'm getting ahead of myself here. We've knocked $35 off the price of it. It's a 13-year-old single cask strength from Distillery 64. Distillery 64 sits behind the road from Distillery 46, and both distilleries are very much blending workhorse distilleries. This is the 120th cask we've seen. I've just cracked it tonight. Strawberry ice cream. Freshly cut oranges and strawberry ice cream. I often still wonder to myself, I mean, the answers are there, but just that whole sort of, those flavors are not, I'm often like, let me rewind. I often meet new members and newcomers to whiskey that go, oh, I'm getting like strawberry ice cream note. Do you put strawberry ice cream in the cask or in the spirit? It's like, no. It's like these flavors are unique to that cask, and that profile of oak has imparted those flavors after X amount of years. Full spice, so the rise sometimes for the hot ones too. Yeah, I mean, J-Hos, like I said, that 112 is a no-brainer for me, and I think it'll be a little bit overlooked. The cream and croissants, the 26.154 is really waxy and lovely. Oh, actually, underrated from Outturn. Snow cone for grown-ups. Again, I don't have a bottle in the office of that, but really meaty spirit, which is not unusual for Distillery 48. Great quality spirit out of that distillery. Fantastic. First fill, 7-year-old. Like real like Hawaiian pizza, like pepperoni and Hawaiian pizza kind of notes. Brilliant stuff. Okay. Yeah, definitely getting that whole sort of like sweet ice cream. Let me go back to this one. Like vanilla ice cream, vanilla and strawberry ice cream now. I might add a drop of water to this one, actually. See how we go. Whilst that's settling down, I'm going to grab some of the comments. Nick Husick says, what do you think the sleeper drams in the Outturn are? At the Canberra tasting last week, Pudding Faceplant was my favorite dram of the night, and a dram I usually wouldn't pick out. Pudding Faceplant was an amazing whiskey and super popular as well once people tasted it. I know one member who picked up, I think, 2 or 3 bottles of it after tasting it. People, as I've talked about before, Nick, and thanks for asking that question, people often overlook grain whiskey as inferior or filler. It's not at all. Once you taste something like that, what an amazing cask that was. I'm still kicking myself I didn't pick one up. I think some of the sleepers from this Outturn, let's have a look. I think some of the sleepers will be things like that 48.114. It's a youngish cask. It's a 7-year-old, and if you're buying one bottle in the Outturn, you might want to skip it for something else kind of thing, which I think is a bit unfair because you've got to understand that the first fill barrel, with the exception of flower arranging in the sunshine, usually don't go that kind of distance. And a 7-8-year-old whiskey in a first fill barrel is more the norm than you'd realize in the whiskey industry. In blending, most blends, when they're using malt, are using refill casks and a bit of first fill whiskey as the dressing malt on top. This would be something like a dressing malt. It's a meaty, fascinating, like pepperoni Hawaiian note to it, which I think people will go, I don't know, Distillery 48, or I'm not into that sort of profile, and I think it's a bit of a sleeper. Another sleeper, I'm not even going to put peated whiskeys in the sleeper category because they're so popular. Another sleeper I'm going to go with is perhaps the 113.4. For much of the same reason, people see young and sprightly. They think, I should get something with a bit more sort of oomph. Again, I think you breeze past those ones at your peril. The notes on that 113 are things like licorice and like rosewater and licorice. It's just like really nice whiskey, that one. I only tasted it once, but very nice. Whiskey in Isolation's post on Pudding Faceplant was very good. Big shout out to Whiskey in Isolation for posting about And shout out if you get a bit of discount on my membership. Of course, if you are interested in joining the society and you're not actually a member, pop a comment in. I'll see the comments. And by the way, the society is a society. We are a whiskey club. It's a two-way street. If you're commenting, I'm replying. If you want to join, there's always a code or something we can always do for you. And we always welcome new members into the club, of course, because new members means more casks. More casks means more whiskey. More whiskey means more members. So look, it's sort of a self-perpetuating cycle in a way. But good to hear that worked out for you. I've added some water to that malt of the month. And it's really opened it right up now, actually. Wow. It's very enjoyable. Very enjoyable indeed. Okay. That's all. I mean, that's the main three I wanted to go through tonight. I'm not really in the peated zone at the moment, and I've still got to use this bottle for our tasting packs. But I am a lumberjack and I am good. I can't remember. Was that the I'm a lumberjack and I'm fine, I think the quote goes. Anyway, there's a 66 in the Outturn, a 14-year-old that came from a first fill that was finished, in a second fill ex red wine barrique. So it's a red wine cask 66. Love the 66s. I'm not going to butcher that French. It's something like Je suis boucheron et je vais bien. How close am I? Anyway, the rough and very terrible translation is I'm a lumberjack and I'm fine. Or I'm good, or whatever it is. No, I'm fine. And of course, what do you call it? Coming up also in the tasting pack as well, we've got 5 whiskeys in the Malt Magic virtual tasting pack, which goes on sale as well this Friday. One of which is the third blended malt we've seen, which is the Tar Pit. There it is. I'm going to show the image right now. I've got a bottle here in the office ready to go, so we can do a full review of this one as well. There it is, the Tar Pit. Blended malt Scotch whiskey, a 9-year-old blended malt, another creation from Ewan. So everything he's doing is just getting better and better, and he's just getting much better at his blending skills, which is just great to see. That's all I want to go through tonight. I've tasted 3 whiskeys, had a bit of a chat about all 3. You've asked some great questions about Outturn coming up tomorrow. Like I say, 24th of July, save the date. The champs are coming. The virtual tasting is coming up on the 24th of April. The American Whiskey Exploration in Sydney is on the 23rd of April, and we look forward to seeing you at as many things as possible. It's just all part of the journey of being a member of the society, is exploring all of these things. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us, to ask great questions, and I hope you all have a wonderful Easter. I really do. I hope you all have a fantastic Easter. If you don't celebrate Easter, then have a good couple of holidays off. Have a few days off. In the meantime, I will see you all soon. See you all next week. I'm going to take a weekend, which is something I'm sorely needing at the moment after the last week I've had at work. Lots of running around. It looks very glamorous in some of the photos, I'll be honest, but at the same time, it's like, you know what? It's good to have a break sometimes as well. So thank you so much, everyone, again for everything, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a great Easter. Slanjava.